I didn't know I was being filmed until the sound followed me. A soft click, not loud, not obvious, just enough to make the hair on my arms lift while my hands were still wet from the sink. I was standing in my mother's kitchen, rolling silverware into paper napkins like I'd done 100 times before. Fork, knife, spoon, fold, stack. The dishwasher hummed behind me, that low mechanical growl that always made the room feel colder than it was. The overhead light buzzed, flickering just enough to give everything a faint yellow blur. Behind me, laughter, glasses clinking, someone turning up the music. No one said my name. I'm Emily Parker. I was 26 that night, and my mom's birthday had started the same way it always did, with me working and everyone else watching. I wiped my hands on my jeans and reached for the stack of plates. That's when I saw Lucas, my younger brother, slouched against the counter, one foot hooked around a chair leg. Phone angled low, pointed straight at me. He wasn't even trying to hide it. He had that look on his face, the one that meant he thought he was clever. What I asked. He didn't answer, just smiled, a thin smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. I turned back to the table, adjusted the centerpiece, pulled a chair in. My shoulders tightened, but I told myself it was nothing. Lucas always had his phone out. Everyone did. I didn't know yet that this was the moment everything tilted. If you've ever had family treat you like you don't matter, like you're only useful when you're quiet, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe while you're here. You're not alone, even when the people who should protect you are the ones holding the knife. By the time the cake came out, my hands were shaking. Emily, grab more napkins, my mom said without looking at me. I grabbed them. Emily, can you clear those plates? I cleared them. Someone spilled wine. I cleaned it. Someone needed ice. I got it. Lucas didn't move once. My dad didn't either. He laughed at a joke I didn't hear, his voice carrying over the clatter of dishes like I wasn't even in the room. I caught Lucas's phone again, still angled, still watching. Stop, I said quietly as I passed him. He leaned in just enough for me to hear. Relax. That word landed wrong, heavy, like a thumb pressing down on a bruise. The party ended late, too late. People hugged. My mom told her she looked young, told her she was lucky. I rinsed frosting off a knife and set it in the rack. The sink water had gone cold. My sleeves were damp, clinging to my wrists. When the door finally closed behind the last guest, my mom sighed, a satisfied sigh. Nice night, she said. No one thanked me. I drove home with the radio off. The silence felt safer. At 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. It was a text from my friend Hannah. Have you checked social media? I didn't answer. My stomach tightened anyway, a familiar feeling, the kind that comes before bad news. Another buzz, a link. I clicked it. There I was, standing in my mom's kitchen, head down, hair pulled back, rolling silverware, wiping counters, moving fast while everyone else sat and laughed. The caption read, "Some people are born to serve. At least she's good at something." Posted by Lucas. Public. My chest went hollow, like the air had been sucked out all at once. Then I saw the reactions, laughing emojis, dozens of them, comments from strangers who didn't know me, didn't know my life piling on anyway. Harsh but true. LMAO. That's sad. And then I saw my mom's name. She'd liked it. My dad had commented a laughing face. That was the first snap. Quiet, internal, like a thread breaking under tension. I drove back. I didn't even remember getting out of the car. I just remember the front door opening and my mom's voice floating from the living room. Did you see how many views that already has? I stepped into the room. Lucas was sprawled on the couch, phone glowing in his hand. Take it down, I said. He didn't look up. Why? Take it down, I repeated. My voice didn't shake. That surprised me. My mom frowned. Emily, don't start. Start what I asked. He filmed me. He posted it. It's a joke, she said. God, you're so sensitive. I turned to my dad. You think it's funny? He shrugged. Didn't meet my eyes. People need to lighten up. Lucas finally looked at me then. His smile was wider now. Meaner. You're getting attention for once. You should be grateful. That was the second snap. I felt it in my jaw, in my hands, in the way my heart stopped racing and went very still instead. "Delete it," I said. My mom crossed her arms. "You're embarrassing yourself." I stared at her. "You liked it." She tilted her head. So, that word cut deeper than the video. So, like my dignity was optional, like my humiliation was harmless, like I was overreacting to my own public erasure. "Emily," she said, her voice dropping into that tone she used when she wanted to win, "you've always been dramatic." I laughed once. A short sound, sharp, even to my own ears. "I cleaned your house," I said. "I hosted your guests. I did everything." And she shot back, "You didn't have to." My dad finally looked at me then. His eyes were tired, annoyed. "Why are you making this about you?" That was the third snap. I grabbed my keys. Lucas chuckled. "Where you gonna go? Gonna cry about it online." I walked to the door. "Emily," my mom called after me. I stopped, my hand on the knob. She said it casually, like she was commenting on the weather. "If you can't take a joke, maybe you shouldn't be here." The door closed behind me. In the car, my hands trembled so badly I couldn't start the engine at first. My phone buzzed again. Another notification. More views. More comments. I didn't cry. I stared straight ahead, streetlight glare burning my eyes, and thought one thing with absolute clarity. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as content. And something in me went cold enough that I knew this wasn't over. I slept on my Aunt Helen's couch that night, staring at the ceiling fan as it chopped the dark into pieces. The house smelled like chamomile and old books, safe things, quiet things, the kind of place where nothing was recorded, nothing uploaded, nothing turned into a punchline. Helen didn't ask questions. She handed me a blanket, pointed to the couch, and said, "Stay as long as you need." Her voice was steady. No judgment, no curiosity dressed up as concern. That alone almost broke me. Morning came thin and gray. Rain tapped the window like impatient fingers. I lay there longer than I should have, listening to the sound replaying my mother's voice in my head. "If you can't take a joke, maybe you shouldn't be here." At 9:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. "Lucas, unlock the account. I need cash." No greeting, no apology, no acknowledgement of what he'd done, just a demand. My jaw tightened. I sat up, blanket sliding to the floor phone, heavy in my hand like a loaded weapon. I didn't answer. 2 minutes later, it buzzed again. Mom calling. I let it ring once, twice. On the third vibration, I picked up. "Why are you ignoring your brother?" she snapped. No hello. No pause. "I'm not," I said. "I'm thinking." About what she said sharply. "He needs money. You know that." The word need landed wrong, like a lie that had been rehearsed. "He posted a video humiliating me," I said. "You liked it." A scoff on the other end. "We're not doing this again. Then what are we doing?" "Being adults," she said. "You're his sister. You're older. You should look out for him." There it was, the script, same as always. "I'm not his bank," I said. She sighed, dramatic, irritated. "Emily, don't be selfish." That word again. Like a brand pressed into my skin. The call ended without a goodbye. Helen was in the kitchen when I came in, stirring honey into her tea. She looked at my face once and nodded toward the chair. "Bad morning," she asked. I handed her my phone. "Read that." She adjusted her glasses, skimmed Lucas's message, then my mother's missed calls. Her mouth tightened. She didn't say anything at first, just pushed her tea aside and opened her laptop. "Is the account still open?" she asked. "Yes. Let's look." I called Nina. She arrived 20 minutes later, hair still damp from the raincoat, half buttoned. She took one look at my face and said, "What now?" We sat at Helen's dining table, wood-worn smooth by years of use, real, solid. I logged into the bank app with hands that felt strangely calm. Username, password. The screen loaded. Then the numbers hit. My breath left me all at once. What Nina said, leaning in. I scrolled. $2,800. Gone. Not pending. Not frozen. Gone. My fingers shook as I tapped into the transaction history. Date after date lit up the screen, neat little rows of Betrayal. Designer clothing store, $640. Electronics retailer, $899. Bar tab, $200. Another bar, another jacket, another charge, all in 2 weeks. Nina sucked in a sharp breath. Emily. I stared at the screen, my mind racing backward through every extra shift, every skipped dinner, every quiet sacrifice I'd told myself was temporary. "That's my rent," I said softly. "That's my savings." Helen closed her eyes for a moment. "He's been using you." The words felt obvious now, painfully obvious, like seeing a pattern that had been there all along once someone finally pointed it out. I called Lucas. He answered on the second ring. Finally, he said, "So you unlocked it?" "No," I said. "I checked it." Silence. Then a laugh, short, dismissive. "It's a shared account," he said. "Relax. You spent almost $3,000, I said, "on yourself." So he shot back. "You weren't using it!" That sentence burned. "I was saving it," I said, for what he said. "Your little dreams." I closed my eyes. That word again. Dreams. Said like an insult. "You stole from me," I said. "Don't be dramatic," he replied. "Mom said you'd do this." Something cold settled in my chest. "I want the money back," I said. He laughed again, louder this time. "Good luck." The line went dead. Nina slammed her hand on the table. Oh, hell no. Before I could respond, my phone rang again. "Dad," I answered. "What's going on?" he asked, already annoyed. "Lucas took money from the account," I said. "Thousands." A pause, then a sigh. The tired kind. The kind that means he'd already decided. "He's young," my dad said. "He makes mistakes. So do adults," I said. "They face consequences." "You're his sister," he said. "Why can't you just help him? Help." The word twisted itself into something ugly. "I've been helping him for years," I said. "You just didn't notice. Don't turn this into a family issue," he warned. "It already is." My mom's voice cut in on speaker. She must have been there with him. "You're tearing us apart over money." I laughed. "It surprised all of us. He tore us apart when he posted that video," I said. "You just chose his side." Silence. Then my mom said it. Sharp, final. "If you lock that account, don't expect us to forgive you." That was the moment the math became clear. Not the numbers on the screen. The numbers in my head. How many times I'd covered for him, how many times they'd asked me to be patient, how many times I'd swallowed the anger and called it love. I looked at Nina. She nodded once. I tapped the screen. Freeze account, confirm. The app spun for a second. Then a message appeared. Account access restricted. My phone buzzed immediately. "Lucas, what the hell did you do?" Another buzz. "Mom, fix this right now." Another. "Dad, you're being unreasonable." I set the phone face down on the table. My chest felt tight, but my hands were steady. Helen reached across the table and squeezed my wrist. "You did the right thing." The phone buzzed again, and again. I didn't look. Later that afternoon, the messages changed tone. "You're selfish. You've always been jealous of him. You're destroying this family." Each one hit like a slap, not because they were true, but because they'd been waiting to be said. By evening, my mother left a voicemail. Her voice was cold, controlled. "I don't recognize you anymore," she said. "You used to care about us." I sat on the couch, phone in my hand, and listened to it twice. Then I deleted it. Outside, the rain finally stopped. The house felt still. Too still. Nina gathered her things, hesitated at the door. "This isn't over," she said. "I know." After she left, I lay back on the couch staring at the ceiling fan again as it turned slow and relentless. They said I was tearing the family apart, but for the first time I saw the truth clearly. I wasn't breaking anything. I was just no longer holding it together for them. I thought locking the account would slow him down. I was wrong. Lucas didn't come back quieter. He came back meaner. It happened the next morning. I was at Helen's kitchen table again, laptop open, but untouched coffee, gone cold beside me. I hadn't slept much. My phone was face down, silent for once, and I let myself believe just for a moment that the worst had already happened. Then it buzzed. Not a call, a notification. Nina, did you post this yourself? There was a screenshot attached. My throat tightened before I even opened it. It was my handwriting, slanted slightly to the right. Black ink. A page I knew by heart. My old notebook, the one I kept when I was 16, the one where I'd written what I wanted to become when everything still felt possible. On the screen was a photo of it laid flat on a desk. My words exposed under harsh white light. I want to work with books. I want to help shape stories. I don't want to disappear. The caption read, "Cheap fantasies. Some people never grow up." Posted by Lucas. Public. Again. I stared at it, my chest locking tight breath shallow and useless. Comments were already stacking up fast and cruel. Delusional. Sad. Maybe stick to cleaning. Editor LOL. Strangers picking through the softest parts of me like it was entertainment. I scrolled once, twice. Then I stopped. Something inside me went very still. That notebook wasn't supposed to exist anymore. I'd packed it years ago. I'd hidden it in the back of my childhood dresser under sweaters I never wore. I hadn't touched it since before I moved out. I hadn't given it to him. I hadn't shown it to anyone. Helen came into the room and saw my face. She didn't ask what was wrong. She just leaned over my shoulder and read. Her mouth hardened. "He went into your room," she said. The words landed heavy, invasive, final. My phone buzzed again. A message from my mother. "Don't embarrass yourself responding to him. You're feeding it." I didn't reply. Instead, I stood up so fast my chair scraped hard against the floor. My room, my things. The image of that small space flashed in my mind, posters still taped to the wall, the chipped dresser, the smell of dust and old perfume. Pieces of a life I hadn't fully reclaimed because I'd trusted them to leave it alone. That trust evaporated. "I need someone to check the house," I said. Helen nodded immediately. "Daniel, my cousin Daniel lived 15 minutes away. Quiet, observant. The kind of person who noticed what others pretended not to see. He answered on the first ring. "What's wrong?" he asked. "I need you to do something," I said. "Can you go to my parents' house?" A pause. "Are they home? I don't think so." "Okay," he said. "No questions. What am I looking for?" "My notebook," I said, "and a jewelry box, small, silver, from Grandma." Another pause, longer this time. "I'll call you when I'm there." The waiting was worse than the discovery. Minutes stretched. Every sound in the house felt amplified. The refrigerator humming, the clock ticking. Helen's footsteps moving slowly down the hall like she was trying not to disturb something fragile. I refreshed the post once, then forced myself to stop. I didn't cry. Not yet. When Daniel called, his voice was low. "I'm in the house," he said. "Your parents aren't here." "Lucas is." My stomach dropped. "Can you still look?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "Stay on the line." I heard soft footsteps, a door opening, then another. Silence. Then Emily. "What?" My voice cracked despite myself. "Your notebook is here," he said, "on Lucas's desk." My grip tightened around the phone. "And the jewelry box?" I asked. Another pause. "Too long." "It's in his closet," Daniel said. "Behind some shoes." I closed my eyes. The jewelry box wasn't valuable in any way that showed up on a receipt. No diamonds, no gold worth melting down. Just a small silver box with a dent in the corner etched with faded flowers. My grandmother had given it to me the summer before she died. She'd pressed it into my hands and said, "Some things are meant to be kept, not shown." Lucas had taken it anyway. "There's more," Daniel said. My chest tightened. "What? I found a note," he said, "in his drawer." The sound of paper rustling came through the phone. He read it slowly. "Her junk could probably sell. Might as well get something out of it." The words sat between us like poison. I felt something sharp and final cut through the last layer of denial. This wasn't teasing. This wasn't cruelty for attention. This was theft. He was going to sell it, I said. "Yes," Daniel replied. "And Emily, there's no sign your parents stopped him." "Of course there wasn't. Take them," I said. "Both of them." "I already have," he said. "I'm leaving now." When the call ended, the room felt too quiet. Helen sat across from me, hands folded. He crossed a line. I nodded. My throat burned, but my eyes stayed dry. This wasn't about feelings anymore. It was about ownership. Lucas didn't just want to humiliate me. He wanted access, control, leverage. My phone lit up again. Lucas, you really don't know when to stop, do you? Another message followed immediately. Lucas, you left that stuff. It's not stealing if it was abandoned. I stared at the words, something dark and steady settling in my chest. Abandoned. Like I'd abandoned the right to my own past by walking out the door. I typed once, deleted it, typed again, then I locked the screen. An hour later, Daniel arrived with a backpack. He placed it gently on the table and unzipped it. The notebook came out first. The cover bent corners worn soft from years of being opened and closed in secret. Then the jewelry box, still dented, still mine. I ran my thumb over the etched flowers. My hands were steady. Helen watched me closely. Are you okay? I thought about the comments, the laughter, my mother's silence, Lucas's note. No, I said, but I'm clear. That night, Lucas posted again. Another jab, another joke. But something had changed. I didn't see it as noise anymore. I saw it as evidence. He wasn't mocking me because I was weak. He was exposing me because he thought he owned me. And sitting there with my grandmother's box back in my hands and my old words no longer lost, I understood something with terrifying certainty. This wasn't humiliation anymore. It was a crime in slow motion. And I wasn't going to pretend otherwise. I didn't sleep that night. The notebook sat on the coffee table, closed but loud. The jewelry box beside it catching the lamplight, like it was trying to remind me it had survived worse things than my brother. Helen moved quietly around the house, giving me space. She understood the kind of silence that follows betrayal, the kind that isn't empty, just crowded with thoughts you don't want to hear yet. It was almost midnight when she finally spoke. "Emily," she said from the doorway. "There's something I should have told you earlier." I looked up. Her face was tight. Not guilty, just tired. What I asked. She sat down slowly, hands folded in her lap. "Last year your mom called my sister, asked for money." My stomach sank, for what I said. Helen didn't hesitate. She said it was for your tuition, that you were struggling, that you were too proud to ask. The room went very still. "I paid for school myself," I said. The words came out flat, almost clinical. "I know," Helen said. "That's why it bothered me. But your mom sounded convincing. She used your name." Something cold slid down my spine. How much I asked. Helen exhaled. "A few thousand. I didn't pry. I assumed you'd talk to me if it was real." I stared at the wall behind her. The paint there was slightly uneven, like someone had patched it badly years ago. "They used my name," I said again. Yes, that was the moment a new door opened in my mind, one I hadn't wanted to touch before. "What else?" I asked quietly. Helen didn't answer. She didn't need to. I reached for my laptop. Pulling a credit report feels harmless until it isn't. Just a few clicks. Identity verification. A loading wheel that spun for half a second too long. Then the page populated. My name sat at the top, clean, official, and underneath it, a loan, $6,200, opened 8 months ago. I stared at it, my vision narrowing until the numbers were all I could see. "That's not mine," I said. Nina's voice echoed in my head from days earlier. "Don't assume it's the worst until you know." I scrolled. Lender, date, payment history, address, my parents' address. My throat closed. "That's not mine," I repeated louder this time, like volume could make it untrue. Helen leaned over my shoulder, her face drained of color. "Oh, Emily," she whispered. The details were precise. Too precise. My birth date, my social security number. Information you don't lose accidentally. Information you only get from family. I sat back hard in the chair. 8 months. 8 months I'd been working saving planning while my name was quietly being used like collateral. "This is identity fraud," Helen said carefully. The word hung in the air. Heavy, official, final. I thought of Lucas's note. Her junk could probably sell. I thought of my mother's voice. "You're being dramatic." I thought of the way they all looked at me when I locked the account like I'd broken something precious. They hadn't seen me as a person. They'd seen me as a resource. I called my mom. She answered immediately like she'd been waiting. "What now?" she snapped. "There's a loan in my name," I said. $6,200. Silence. Then, "Why are you digging around like that?" "Because it's my credit," I said. "And I didn't open that loan." A pause. Then her voice softened. Too quickly. "Emily," she said, "we did what we had to do." My stomach dropped. "You did," I said. "So you admit it." "For the family," she replied. "Your brother was in a bad spot." My jaw clenched. "You stole my identity," she scoffed. "Don't use words like that." "We're your parents. That doesn't make it legal," I said. "You weren't using your credit," she snapped. "And it worked out, didn't it?" I laughed once. It sounded broken. "Did it?" I asked. "Because I didn't know about it, and if I hadn't checked, I'd be paying for it for years." She exhaled sharply. "You always make everything so extreme." There it was again. The minimization, the gaslight. "Did Lucas do it?" I asked. A beat too long. "He needed help," she said. That answer was enough. I hung up without saying goodbye. My phone buzzed almost immediately. "Lucas, chill out. It's not that serious." Then another message. "Lucas, I was just trying to log into your work email. Needed a pay stub." My heart slammed into my ribs. I stared at the screen, cold spreading through my chest. I checked my email. Security alert. Multiple failed login attempts. Unknown device. Time stamped from 20 minutes ago. Emily, Helen said, reading over my shoulder. Her voice had gone sharp. "This is bad. He wasn't just reckless. He was escalating." I called Nina. She answered mid-ring. "He tried to hack my work email," I said. What she snapped. "That's illegal." "I know. Do you have logs?" "Yes. Save everything," she said. "Do not warn him." I looked at my phone again. Another message from Lucas. "Lucas, you're acting crazy. Mom's freaking out." I didn't reply. For the first time I saw the pattern clearly. Not just Lucas's entitlement. Not just my parents' favoritism. The system. They took what they wanted, used my name, my money, my history, and when I resisted, they called me the problem. I wasn't a daughter to them. I was leverage. I was backup credit. I was the quiet one they assumed would always absorb the damage. I closed my laptop slowly. My hands didn't shake. Helen watched me carefully. "What are you going to do?" I thought about the notebook, the jewelry box, the loan, the login attempts. "I'm done pretending this is normal," I said. Outside, a car passed headlights sweeping briefly across the wall like a searchlight. For years, I'd been trying to earn my place, to prove I was worth protecting. Now I understood the truth. They didn't need me to be strong. They needed me to be usable. And standing there with my name no longer feeling like it belonged to me, I knew one thing with absolute certainty. This wasn't a family conflict anymore. It was a line, and they had already crossed it. The lawyer's office smelled like toner and old coffee. Neutral, clean, nothing sentimental. I liked that. I sat across from her with a thin folder on the desk between us. Inside it, screenshots, bank statements, timestamps, IP logs. The kind of paper trail people like my family never thought I'd be capable of collecting. She flipped through everything without reacting. That alone steadied me. "This is identity fraud," she said finally, "and attempted unauthorized access to a work account." I nodded. My hands were folded in my lap. "Still." "We'll file a report," she continued. "Credit bureau first, then police. You'll also want to freeze your credit immediately." "Do it," I said. No hesitation. No second thoughts. Once you see the pattern, you stop negotiating with it. The process was mechanical. Forms, verifications, phone calls where I repeated my name like it still belonged to me. The credit freeze went through by noon. The fraud report followed. Then the supplemental documentation logs from my email provider showing repeated login attempts from an unfamiliar device. Lucas's device. I didn't warn him. I didn't threaten. I let the system do what it was designed to do when someone finally told the truth. 2 days later, the first call came. My aunt. Her voice was tight, controlled. Your mother told me what you did. What she thinks I did, I corrected. She said you reported your brother, my aunt said. She said you're trying to destroy the family. I closed my eyes for a moment, then opened them. She used my name to borrow money, I said. He used my identity for a loan. He tried to access my work email. Silence. I didn't know, my aunt said quietly. I know, I replied. The calls kept coming after that. Cousins. Relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. Some angry, some confused, a few apologetic. The story traveled fast once it wasn't controlled anymore. By the end of the week, the police had contacted Lucas. He texted me the moment it happened. What the hell did you do? I didn't respond. An hour later, my mother called. I let it ring until it stopped. Then it rang again. And again. On the fourth attempt, I answered. You're ruining us, she said, skipping hello. Her voice was sharp, panicked. Your brother is being questioned. That's between him and the law, I said. He's terrified, she snapped. Is that what you want? I thought about the notebook, the jewelry box, the loan. Yes, I said calmly. I want him to face what he did. She inhaled sharply. You're so cold. No, I said. I'm done being used. My dad's voice came through, then low and angry. This didn't have to happen. It did, I replied. You just didn't think I'd push back. You're tearing this family apart, my mother said. Her voice cracked, but there was still steel under it. Everyone knows now. Do you have any idea what you've done to us? I stared at the wall. Blank, unmarked. I'm not responsible for your reputation, I said. I'm responsible for my life. There was shouting after that, accusations, guilt dressed up as grief. I didn't argue. I ended the call. Then I blocked the numbers. All of them. Mother, father, Lucas. No announcement. No final message. No explanation. Silence can be a boundary. The days that followed felt strange. Too quiet, like the ringing after a loud noise finally fades, and you realize how damaged your ears were. I moved a week later, a small apartment near a park. 2nd floor. 1 bedroom. No history in the walls. The windows let in afternoon light that made the dust visible in a way that felt honest, not harsh. Helen helped me unpack. She didn't ask if I was sad. She knew I was free. On the first night there, I sat on the floor with my back against the wall and opened the notebook. The pages were worn, the handwriting younger, hopeful in a way that hurt to look at. I didn't feel embarrassed anymore. I felt protective. I started applying for jobs the next morning. Nothing glamorous. Entry level. A local publishing house needed an editorial assistant. I adjusted my resume, trimmed the language, told the truth without apologizing for it. When the interview request came through, I didn't tell anyone. I went alone. The office smelled like paper and ink, the kind of place where words mattered before they were posted, before they were torn apart for clicks. I liked that too. At night, I wrote. Not for anyone else, not to prove anything, just to hear my own voice again uninterrupted. The investigation moved forward without me watching it. I didn't track Lucas's case. I didn't ask about outcomes. Knowing existed somewhere between curiosity and poison, and I chose not to drink it. I knew enough. My parents stopped reaching out once they realized the silence was permanent. My mother sent one last email from an address I didn't recognize. We're still your family. I deleted it. Family isn't a title you can weaponize. It's a place you don't have to shrink to survive. On a quiet evening weeks later, I placed the jewelry box on my new dresser. The dent still there, the flowers still faded. It felt right where it was. I stood back and looked at it, then at the notebook beside it, then at the small room that belonged to me alone. For the first time in a long time, my name felt like it fit again. Not something borrowed, not something taken. Mine. Not everyone who shares your last name is family. Family is where you don't have to ask permission to be respected, and I finally understood I didn't lose a family. I walked away from a cage.